The main street here is called Main Street, and although it's mainly just a street, it is a really nice street. Hello everyone, Carry On Monkey here, the travel channel that hopes to bring you some light-hearted sightseeing levity from around the world. So in this video, I wanted to share with you 2 days I had in Vancouver earlier this year. I'll be sharing Vancouver highlights, amazing places to eat, areas to visit, attractions I enjoyed most, and why ultimately I'd be very happy to live here. So how did I end up here in the first place? Well, as a quick background, earlier this year I was part of a PR group who were invited by Princess Cruises on their tour around Alaska. The departure point was from right here and completely separate from that cruise, but the Vancouver Tourism Board wanted to show us around while we were in town. But now, 6 months on, they don't even know I'm making this video. It's not in collaboration with Vancouver. It's just that after previously falling in love with Banff and people enjoying that video, I really wanted to share my time in Vancouver for those interested in another side to Canadian life. So the official press trip itinerary began at 10:30 a.m, but with the wonders of jet lag, I wasn't ready at 10:30 to meet in the lobby as agreed. I was ready at 5 a.m. So, after enjoying this hotel salad, I went for an early morning solo stroll to see what's been making Canadians so happy for all of these years. Wandering around on my own was a nice start, but I was also keen to get back to the hotel and properly meet the group that I'd be travelling with, and it's at this point when nerves began to settle in. Including everyone who would eventually be joining us, half of the people were respectable print journalists from world-famous English newspapers, there were more successful influencers, travel bloggers, and then somehow there was me, someone who'd just been having hours of fun in his hotel bathroom with this mirror. I mean, what exactly is going on here? But as it turned out, I needn't have worried, and the first official stop was Vancouver's first ever tourism attraction. Opened in 1889 and initially with some hemp rope and just leftover cedar planks, it's been rebuilt several times over and now stretches 140 metres across the river, which falls 70 metres below. Fortunately, it's more than just an impressive crossing, and it's quite easy to spend a couple of hours here. Looking back on this trip, one of my favourite things was the food. Being shown around by the city's own tourism board almost guarantees that you're going to be eating well, and their first seafood stop did not disappoint. Literally built over the harbour waters, everything was excellent. It was fun chatting with others from the travel industry, and I celebrated with my new friends over a drink popular in Hogsmeade. Something else Vancouver can hang its hat on is the world's longest uninterrupted urban seaside bike lane. And yes, that's a lot of caveats, but it is also true. Known as the Seawall, it's a 30-kilometre uninterrupted waterfront path that makes for the perfect city nature jog, skate or bike ride. Having not read the itinerary as much as I probably should have, a lot of it would be along much of the path I'd stupidly already walked through this morning. But now, armed with an e-bike, I was capable to tackle it properly. Now, I haven't rode a bike in years, but hopefully it'll be just like riding a bike and I'd be fine. Obviously not as fine looking as I am in this helmet, but more importantly, I'd be safe. After a crash course in how to properly work the e-bike, my main takeaway was that I could use this bell to scare pedestrians. Long-time viewers will know that all of my videos are shot exclusively on iPhone. Now, this is partly because I don't know how to use a proper camera, and partly because I'm waiting for Apple to pull their finger out and sponsor me. But until either of those things get resolved, I will continue to ignore that. By now, I probably should invest in a GoPro, so that I can actually capture some decent footage during activities. And not just decent footage, but also survive without damaging myself. But being back in Stanley Park, now with a bike, it is the best way to see this part of Vancouver. Surprisingly 10% bigger than Central Park, it's also a largely wooded area, so isn't your typical city park, but has enough unique spots to warrant the distance covered. Later on, we headed over to Gastown for a trendy mix of boutiques, restaurants and bars. The origins of the name Gastown come from a questionable tale though. It's said to be named after an English seaman who became known as Gassy Jack, and from this nickname it's assumed that Jack had a bit of a flatulence problem, but Fart Town just wasn't going to cut it. After some proper research, done by myself, it turns out that Gassy Jack's nickname actually comes from the fact that he enjoyed telling a good long-winded story. Something that this narrator clearly knows nothing about, since he's just told you a fictitious tale about a sailor breaking wind. But to almost laugh in the face of assumptions though, is this. Gastown's most famous landmark, a steam-powered clock, originally built as a way to cover the steam grate that it sits on. And yes, it begs the question, why not call this area Steamtown, since it's literally coming out of the ground, instead of an Englishman who just likes to talk a lot. But either way, my point is, go to Gastown, it's a pretty good area. For our last full day, we headed a little further south, out of the city's centre. First up was this botanical garden where 7,500 plant species are spread out across 55 peaceful acres. Next up was the Bloedel Conservatory, a fun tropical garden housed within this dome. Mixed amongst the 500 exotic plants are 100 colourful birds, macaws, African parrots, finches and Chinese pheasants, and some of them needed to get a room. Another short drive and we arrived at Mount Pleasant, a neighbourhood that Wikipedia tells me is up and coming and has many first-time homeowners moving there. Over the last 5 years, house prices in Vancouver have leapt more than 20%, and I get the impression that the city is potentially booming to a point that's affecting its own population. But all things being fair, Justin, I'd like one of these houses, please, thank you. The main street here is called Main Street, and although it is mainly just a street, it is a really nice street. For lunch, we were back downtown and we ate at one of the best sushi restaurants I've ever had the pleasure of visiting. Whilst the main restaurant has its own lovely views of the waterfront, we were especially spoiled and sat down in their private room, which we were told is the same space where Beyoncé also dined, which I think counts as 1 degree of separation and therefore makes me famous. But if there was ever a multi-course meal suitable for the Queen Bee, it was this one. We started with amuse-bouche, which was amusing, followed up by these perfectly flavoured edamame beans, the best soba noodles I've ever had, this sushi platter which was off the charts, and this incredibly well-presented layered dish. Looking at the online menu now, it's hard to figure out the true cost of all of this together, but although obviously it's going to be on the expensive side, the prices are certainly cheaper than the equivalent level of quality that you'd get in London. So it's either best saved for a special occasion or just if you happen to be rich, which, if you think about it, should make every day a special occasion. But the truth is, it doesn't, does it? Remember kids, money doesn't buy you happiness. And overall, I think that is the most important message from today's video. With that in mind, our last attraction was something else that might fit into that same category, but is something that's been on my personal bucket list for years, and that is taking a ride on a seaplane. Due to its relatively small size, I'd incorrectly assumed that this was just a city attraction, but it turns out we were at a fully fledged airport. People are checking in their luggage, flying to Whistler, which I've heard great things about, Vancouver Island, and as far as Seattle. But we were here for a city tour, which wasn't as expensive as I might have guessed. As we walked to our plane, I can't lie, I was getting a little overexcited. I'm always a sucker for a city panoramic view, and there's something just really cool about a plane landing and taking off on water. Even though in essence it's just a normal plane journey, maybe it was the tiny enclosure or the wet tarmac below, but it felt like it was the first time that I was flying. It felt more unfamiliar than I expected, I guess. But maybe it wasn't just me, I've never seen so many people sit so silently through the in-flight safety video. Then the engines revved, the city started to move beyond my window, and before I knew it, we were off into the beautiful skies over Vancouver. So to close out this video, I wanted to talk about 2024. Back in January, I alluded to something big coming in November, and now I can reveal what I've been talking about. We have booked a one-way flight to Asia and have no idea when we will be coming back or even where we'll be travelling to. It could be for a minimum of a month, going all the way up to 6 months. So far, we've booked a direct flight to Singapore, so that's where we'll be starting from, and then other countries on the list are potentially Malaysia, the Philippines, Indonesia, South Korea, and Japan. We've been saving up specifically for this trip for about 18 months now. Chiaki has left her steady job, and it is a bit of a blind, slightly scary leap, putting your day-to-day life on hold. But if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. And we're just looking to shake things up a bit. Since we don't really know what we'll be getting up to, it's hard to kind of know what videos will be next, but there will undoubtedly be videos that come from this trip. I still have the Dublin video to edit, so that's guaranteed to be coming. For Carry On Monkey, I may do a Morocco video about the trip I organised with some of our lovely subscribers, and from this upcoming trip we'll probably be doing a Singapore one also, but for the rest we'll just take it from there. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments about this trip or even my time in Vancouver from this video, and as ever, until the next one, thanks for watching. Carry On Monkey.